Hi, this is Linda Hannon of Real Small Businesses, where we celebrate small business owners, their drive, their passion, and their success. In this week's show, we're going to hear about the power of building a network. And if you'd like to be featured on our show, hang on to the end and we'll tell you how you can apply. And today we are here with Kendellynn Cavanaugh Gagne at Balanced Physical Therapy and Myofascial Release. Say that 3 times fast. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I am a physical therapist, and I have a specialty PT practice that focuses on treating the whole person as opposed to a diagnosis. And I emphasize treating with manual therapy, which is hands-on therapy.
Okay, so that was a lot of stuff for us people that are non-PT people. So I know that if you go to have PT, you typically go into an office and they have the list and they do exercises, and there's usually 20 people in a room, and they give you your exercise and you do your exercise and then you do the next exercise, and you might go home and have some exercises. So if I come to your office, this is actually your office.
This is my office.
You actually have a table, so you work on one person at a time.
One person at a time. I work on them for either 60 minutes or 90 minutes, which you absolutely would not see in a traditional PT practice. And as you said, the exercises, when you go to traditional therapy, there might be a little bit of hands-on, but the focus is primarily getting the patient as independent as possible. So lots of exercises. These are the things that you can do at home, and here's your home program, and let's try and get you so we can get you out the door.
So in one of the things that you actually do is the myofascial release.
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit, because that's something I think a lot of people don't know what it is.
Yeah. So myofascial release is basically the technique I use most frequently as that hands-on therapy. It's basically a total body approach. So rather than a diagnosis of a shoulder or a hip, I'm really looking at the entire person. Myofascial release is basically the technique that releases restrictions that happen in the connective tissue.
Which is that new medical, not new, but it's getting a lot of attention.
New organ, possibly new organ. Reason being, the American scientists have recently discovered that this tissue that they've found, this live tissue that they've been looking at, is all throughout our body, and it encompasses the blood supply, the nerve supply, the muscles. It really focuses on everything. Now the rest of the world has been looking at this for a number of decades, but now that the American researchers have seen it, they're now looking at it as a new organ, only because when we talk about skin, that's the largest organ in the body, and so they've realized, the American researchers have realized that fascia is actually much bigger than skin. So that's why they say, oh, should we call it an organ, because we call skin an organ.
Got it.
So
when you actually work to release it, because it gets all tied up and bunched up and...
Exactly. So what causes restrictions is basically any kind of traumas to the body. So whether it's a major trauma like a surgery or a motor vehicle accident, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where it's the day-to-day stuff that we do to our bodies, whether we have a desk job and we're sitting for 8 hours, whether we're standing and waitressing, any athletic injuries, people that love to run, all of those can cause little micro-traumas, and those micro-traumas can add up into causing restrictions in the body. So myofascial release is basically the technique that allows those restrictions to release.
Got it. So how did you get into this?
So I, as a physical therapist, for some continuing education, I decided that I really loved manual therapy, or the hands-on piece. And so I started taking a couple classes and really enjoyed it. Still a little skeptical, but I took a couple of the classes and I went back to the clinic and started utilizing them, and I was getting great results. Fast forward a couple of years, I then had some physical ailments personally, and I started getting treated with myofascial release, and it made a world of difference. So then I really became a believer and really started focusing all my manual therapy techniques a lot more so on myofascial release. And so I just continued to treat people with myofascial release and continue to get better and better results.
And then when did you decide to go on your own? Did you work for yourself?
I work for myself now. When I first started, I wasn't even sure that I wanted to be a small business owner. In fact, I was always the person that said, I never want to own my own business, which is funny that I'm here owning my own business.
Because it's hard.
It is hard. It is hard. I think for me personally, the hardest part was having that security of getting a paycheck. Whether you made budget or you didn't make budget, you still get that paycheck and it's okay. When it's your own, you could have a good month, you could have a bad month. Where does that put you? Can you pay the bills? So it was a little scary.
Has that gotten better?
Significantly better. Yes. So I went out, I left my full-time job in the fall of 2016, and I would say by the summer of 2017, I had a completely full schedule and had a cancellation list. So
really,
I was pretty happy.
Plans to expand?
In the works, thinking about it, but again, now I'm in that same crossroads of, oh my gosh, how do I make that jump, and can I do it, and should I do it?
Because it's just you. You have to make the decisions.
It's just me. It's just me.
So, hence tip for other small business owners.
I would say the best piece of advice would be aligning yourself with other professionals within the area that you can refer to them, but they can also refer to you. So I feel like I've made a lot of connections with various professionals, whether it's a massage therapist, a chiropractor, a dentist, all those people, knowing and meeting with them, figuring out what is the best type of referral for them, but then also talking about my business and what would be a good referral for them to send to me. Those have been the best relationships I could have ever imagined, because those primary relationships have now gone to secondary relationships and now tertiary relationships. So it's kind of built up this whole network, which has made me extremely busy.
Well, you actually, in your office, you share it with other professionals that are in similar, but...
I do. I had a couple people that their services are complementary to kind of what I do as a myofascial therapist. So I felt like it was a win-win situation to have them subleasing from me, but also being able to have those services available for my clients.
So that's actually, as a small business owner that has your own place and you have, your office is beautiful, it's very professional, it's been a nice way to balance that, having to do everything.
Absolutely. It gives you a little bit of a sense of being able to breathe, because you've got a couple people that are leasing from you, and like I said, that referral source back and forth has worked out tremendously well.
That's great.
Thank you for joining us on this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you missed last week's video about doing what you love, there's a link below. Also, please join us next week when we hear about ways to get things done that you might not be good at. If you liked today's show, please hit the like and share button. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so that you will be notified when the next video comes out. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.